All right, well, everyone, welcome to Rick Jiha's free Friday coaching call. You might think I have a little less facial hair. I do have less, however, not none. So for those of you I haven't met, I am his wife, Casey Council Jiha. And Rick started this call. Oh my goodness, Gina, how long has this call been going on?
Gosh, since I'd say like a year and a half at least.
Yeah, at least, because I remember being in different time zones and it being 2 a.m. and Rick
Yep.
being in the bathroom on a wall that didn't look like he was in the bathroom to do this call so he wouldn't wake me up. So it's been going on for a while. And he originally started the call as a resource for people that are in the real estate industry that are looking to grow and expand their mindset and their businesses. Both of those things go hand in hand. Your business will never outgrow what goes on in between your own two ears. And so there's that direct link between your perspectives on things, your attitudes about things, your beliefs about things, and what you'll go then and create in your outer world based on what's going on in your inner world. And so this call is for those of you that might be joining it for the first time or be hearing it on replay. It's really to help set you up for a win and to support you in the continual growth and evolution of the human being that you are and of the leader and the business entrepreneur that you are. We call it the Free Friday coaching call because Rick actually gets paid a lot of money to coach when he's on the clock. And this is his contribution back to the community and the industry that he's invested 41 years of his life in, and literally all over the world. And so for those of you that catch it on the recording, we want to welcome you. For those of you that are still jumping on live, we want to welcome you as well. And I am standing in for Rick today, which is very unusual. However, it's going to be fun. It's going to be probably a different experience because we're two different people. However, what will be the commonality is that there's going to be things that you can have breakthroughs around today, shifts in perspectives, some ahas, some key reminders, and things that will support you in your business right now today that you can go out and take action on, even if it's choosing to take on a different perspective as you go out into your life, into your business. And so to get us started, we have a really incredible interview. I met this person, oh my goodness, within the last couple of weeks. He's actually a client of mine. And as we've spent time together, I was so inspired by his story. I said, Rick, you've got to get him on your call because his message and his personal story is really had an impact on me. And I know that there's a possibility that it'll have an impact on many, many more as well. And so as we jump into that interview today, I'm going to invite you to grab something to write with and something to write on, because the worst pencil is better than the best memory. So whether you do that digitally or if you're going to do that pen and paper, we'll give you all a second to do that. And here's why we're interviewing this specific person today. All of us have one thing in common, even though we have a ton of things that are differences. And the one thing that we all have in common is entrepreneurship. We get into real estate, choose entrepreneurship as a way to, maybe it's have some fun, maybe it's add an additional stream of income to our household, maybe it is follow and pursue a dream, maybe it is jump in and explore a passion. Whatever it is that's brought you to entrepreneurship, that is the one thing that everyone on this call has in common. And entrepreneurs have a different thought process than employees. Entrepreneurs in the world of animals would be lions. We hunt it, we kill it, we eat it. If we don't do that, we don't eat. And so the mindset of an entrepreneur is very, very different mindset than that of an employee. Both are really valuable. And generally, people that are very focused and committed on being great employees make great employees. And people that want to learn how to become entrepreneurs or have a desire to do that are willing to take on different thought processes and a lot of things that might be uncomfortable as they venture from what may be known in an employee mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset and what that looks like. And so I'm inspired by this man that we're going to interview today for two reasons. Number one, the catalyst of how his environment shaped him and the choices that he made based as a result on that. And number two, how he's jumped into entrepreneurship and what he's done to win, that there's lessons that everyone can learn regardless of where you're at in your journey. So, Tom, one of the things that I admire and respect most about you is your commitment to learning, to growing, to realize that you don't know what you don't know, even though there's a lot of stuff that you do know, and stay in that continual evolution. And so I want to welcome you to our call this morning, and we're going to have a little dialogue back and forth that I'm excited for our viewers to be able to listen in and be a part of. And so to get us started, Tom, just go ahead and tell us, who you are, and where you're from and where you're sitting right now.
Well, thanks, Casey. I'm glad to be here. So my name's Tom Turnus. I'm 26. I'm from Minnesota. And right now, and I'm going to show you this, and you're all going to hate me, I am sitting. You can see that I'm 300 yards away from the Pacific Ocean. I'm on vacation right now. So that's my office for today.
Well, thank you so much for being willing to join us while you're out here on the beautiful West Coast in all its beauty. So as we jump into your story, there's one thing that, really shaped kind of your mindset and your thought processes. And that was growing up in a household of 3 people where everyone lived on one veteran's pay. Talk to me about what that was like.
Yeah, so I went to public school. I went to fairly affluent public school, and I was the poor kid. I knew it. Everybody else knew it. We had my dad's veterans pension. That was $1,300 a month. Luckily, he owned the house, so we weren't scraping by, but there wasn't excess in my life. If I wanted to get a new phone, I had to go out and make the money to get it. And the real kicker with the veterans pension was, since I was a dependent, any money I made working a traditional 9 to 5 got deducted from my dad's pension since I was dependent on him. So I had to find creative ways to go make money. I ended up doing a lawn mowing and small engine repair business all throughout high school. My junior year, I had just under 400 lawnmowers stacked up across 2 of my neighbors' garages. That's how I made my money.
Let me pause right there because this is a key insight and a key learning for people that are on the call today. Now, some people might be in that same situation and go, okay, well, I don't want to do anything to jeopardize my dad's income, and so I'm going to do nothing. That would be one option.
Mm-hmm.
And you went into a solution mode of, I'm not okay with doing nothing. And so where and how am I going to find a solution to do something? And this is a mindset that you had that some people have in different varying degrees and strengths. As you all, I'm sure, have experiences in the real estate industry, depending on the team of people you have working around you, you can see where those limits kick in and where the people who really push the envelope and are constantly committed to finding the solutions lie. So talk to us a little bit. You're in high school. You've essentially had creating your first entrepreneurial experience. However, you did not go on to continue being an entrepreneur. So talk to us about what happened after that.
Well, so after high school, I went and got a normal 9 to 5 job. I was actually working for waterfront restoration. We'd go around to all the rich lakes in Minnesota. Most of you, I don't know where you're from, but if you're not from Minnesota, we're the land of 10,000 lakes. We got a lot of water. There's a lot of lakes in the cities that have $1 million+ homes on them. So I would go and scuba dive and pick their weeds underwater. So I was making 12.25 an hour, working 16 hours a day, beating the heck out of my body. And halfway through the summer, I realized that I wasn't making any money. I was a wage slave. So I quit and I went and started doing it myself, knocked on these same people's doors and said, hey, I can do this for you.
That's awesome. So you literally spent 16 hours a day where the majority of the time you were underwater picking weeds.
Correct.
That's what we call manual labor. That's intense. However, it sounds like the entrepreneurial spirit surfaced again with that same work. And so fill in the details of exactly what you'd say when you knocked on people's doors and what happened then subsequently after that.
So I'd knock on the door and I'd say, "Hi, my name's Tom. I used to work for Waterfront Restoration, and we've actually picked your weeds before. And I was wondering, I know you're paying an exorbitant amount of money. You're paying $6,000, $7,000 to them. Would you like the same quality of service sooner and for less money?" And most of the time they were like, "Well, yeah, I'll pay you less, and you seem to be a smart guy." And so I'd go do their job for 1,000, 1,500 bucks less and faster.
I love it. And so how long did that last?
That lasted for about 8 weeks until the state shut me down because Waterfront Restoration found out what I was doing and they called the state. I guess I didn't have the proper permitting. So when the DNR came knocking and said, "Hey, you can't be doing this." Yeah, that was entertaining.
Yeah, so another lesson here, is it better to ask forgiveness or permission? I don't know. We all get to decide that. However, we've got an entrepreneurial heart at play, and it's not a heart of malice. So clearly you didn't know what you didn't know, and you were out there going for it, right? And here's something that can happen. I think this is a really great lesson in your story too, is how often as adults, the older we get in life, do we stop going for it because we get our hands slapped or because something doesn't work so well. And so the willingness to extend our reach becomes more limited and limited and limited because we want to play it safe. And in the safety, the more safe we become, the fewer opportunities there are that we actually pull the trigger on, and the less we can actually plug in and create. And all of that happens in between our own two ears based on our perspective and the story that we choose to make up about that. Okay, so you didn't stay under the water. That was a short stint under the water. And then talk about where you went next.
Well, so after that, I went to college for a year and a half. I ended up dropping out and I started working at a local hardware store, doing the same 9 to 5. I was helping a guy load his, he bought a bunch of shelving. I was helping him load his stuff up, and we got to chatting, and he asked me what I wanted to do in life, and I said I wanted to remodel houses, invest in real estate, and so he offered me a job on the spot to go work for him. So I ended up quitting my job at Menards and went and worked for him for probably 6, 8 months, and we did a couple house remodels until he ran out of work. And then he got me into the carpenters union where I hung insulation for a solid year and 9 months. And if anybody's played with insulation, you know exactly how much fun that is. About as much fun as a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. So then I got really bored of doing that 9 to 5, itchy all the time.
Yeah,
And
so before that though, there was something that happened. There was something that happened in your experience there around the system that you created for that and the impact that it had in the job.
oh yeah, so what I did was my very first day, I was trying to impress everybody because it was my first day as my, I guess, big boy job. And they told me I had to insulate the whole second floor. So I didn't want to touch the insulation. So I laid it all out on the floor. I made a little pitchfork sort of tool to grab the insulation and slam it up into the wall. So I went and super quickly insulated an entire hallway. And the foreman comes back and he goes, "Whoa, you got this all done by yourself?" And I go, "Yeah, I did." And that's why that became my job, because I was one of the fastest insulators. And that was my biggest mistake, was doing it efficiently.
So we're going to jump into another mindset piece on entrepreneurship here, and that is mindset of an employee is I want to do a good job and I want to keep my job and hopefully advance through my job. Mindset of an entrepreneur is how can we get this done at the highest quality and the most efficiently so that we can do more of it, right? So what's if you're starting to notice a pattern for those of you that are listening, there's a mindset of entrepreneurship that started in you very young that kept popping out and manifesting itself different ways, even though you were, as which I think is brilliant, a brilliant tagline that I'm now taking and moving forward, a wage slave, where somebody else owned your time and was going to tell you what you were worth based on what they were willing to pay you. So continue now. What happened after you became you basically outpaced everyone and became the key guy for insulation?
So I was doing the installation. I had clothes that were permanently stuck with fiberglass. They itched as soon as you put on. I got really bored of doing that. It was the same thing day in, day out. Wasn't a challenge. I was just going absolutely crazy. Buddy of mine told me about the millwrights, working on power plants, doing high precision, split hairs for a living, that kind of thing. So I switched over to the millwrights union, traveled around the country working on power plants, steam turbines, nuclear plants, wind towers, things of that nature. And I would travel all across the country. I think I've been to 39 different states so far just working. But again, I was 12 hours a day, 30, 40 days in a row, didn't have free time, didn't have time to myself. And I got really bored of doing that. So I decided I wanted to buy a house. I was 21 years old and I had no money. I was making great money, but I still had no money. So what I did was I bought myself a cargo van and I retrofitted it and I lived out of it for the summer. I was working at building an Amazon distribution center. So I plugged into the Amazon center at night and I just kind of camped. And I saved a ton of money. I bought my first house that way. And that's what
Okay,
kind of,
so pause. Yep. So how old are you when you buy your first house?
I was 21. I went under contract 3 months after my birthday and I closed on December 30th that same year.
So there's a couple of another key pieces and nuances of your story. Number one, you got a great work ethic, right? Because you're willing to do those 12-hour days and 30 days in a row, traveling around doing different stuff. And then you always, it seems like, saw that there was something more that was possible for you, and you were in the question of what's next. And I
Yep.
think that's a really important piece for entrepreneurs, because if we hit plateaus where we're kind of just flatlined, a plateau is really an early decay. So if you're like, oh, everything's coasting along, it's going good, I got it dialed in, and you're doing this, you're not seeing growth, you're actually in an early decay. And there's places where we can look in our businesses as entrepreneurs, as realtors in the industry, and see where that might be. How does that show up? Well, that shows up in the I've got a lot of clients that I'm servicing right now. However, I have a very small pipeline. So business is good. Money's coming in. However, I'm not prospecting and lead generating, which means my pipeline's not getting filled up, which means I'm actually in decay, even though it doesn't feel like it yet in my bank account. Okay, Tom. So you buy your first home at 21, and that ended up being a very pivotal experience. We're not going to talk about the neighbor. However, what we are going to talk about is how long you had it, what you did with that house, and what happened when you sold it.
So I actually bought that house. My intent was to remodel it and sell it in the future. I ended up doing that a little faster than I wanted to because of the neighbor. But so I owned that house for 2 years, 2 months, and 18 days. Again, I know that number because of the neighbor. But anyway, so I bought that house and I went into it with the mindset that I was going to buy a fixer upper. It wasn't going to be move-in ready. It wasn't going to be a nice house. I had my mattress in the basement up on 2x4s. That's how bad the house was when I got it. So I renovated it and I sold it for a very nice profit. And when I sold it, the realtor I hired was my girlfriend's aunt's sister's friend, I guess cat's uncle or something. I told her I needed 150,000 walk away. That's what I needed. Anything more was awesome. So she listed it. We sold that same day. We went active Friday at 1. We were under contract by 7 o'clock. This was 3 years ago now, before the market started getting as crazy as it all is right now. And I realized about 6 months later, I left a lot of money on the table by not interviewing other realtors and getting somebody to actively market my home to get me the most money. That was kind of where my mindset shifted, was I can do this. I can do it better and serve my clients to a higher standard than the way I was treated during my sale. If that makes sense.
Cool. So most people would be ecstatic if their house sold 2 hours after it went on the market. However, um, that would be from a consumer perspective. And again, here you are as an entrepreneur mindset. Now, what I want to say about that is that a lot of people will get into real estate or become entrepreneurs because of the freedom that entrepreneurs have. And I say freedom in quotation marks with my fingers like this, because if you've been in real estate more than a week or a hot minute, you know that real estate inherently does not come with freedom at all. It sometimes could be a form of slavery and bondage, based on how much you work your business. And so what we go in and we go, oh my goodness, I'm going to go in and I'm going to become a realtor. I'm an entrepreneur because I want my freedom. And then at some point you realize you have flexibility, not freedom. Freedom and flexibility are two very different things. Freedom, flexibility is the ability to be able to choose your schedule, choose who you're going to work with, choose how much or little that you want to work. And then when you realize your clients, well, not that anyone has clients that would do this, are calling you at 8 and 9 and 10 o'clock at night and expecting a call back, or on a vacation where you're going to be on vacation. However, you have these designated times where you're checking emails and cleaning things up and making sure everything's still running. You maybe start to look at how you've defined freedom and realize you've got flexibility. And so when we talk about entrepreneurship and freedom and flexibility, they're two very different things. I define freedom as the ability to be where you want, when you want, with who you want, as much or as little as you want, without regard to time or money. I'm going to say that again. Freedom is defined as the ability to be where you want, when you want, with who you want, as much or as little you want, without regard to time or money. Meaning, I don't have the time is not in the question. I don't have the money, or it's not in the budget, is not in the question. That's freedom. Now, entrepreneurship is a platform to create freedom, but entrepreneurship and being a realtor and a real estate agent in and of itself will not give you freedom. Now, everybody comes and wants different things and is looking for different things, and freedom might not even be in the context of someone's conversation of what they're looking for, and that's fine. However, there's people that it is an important piece in conversation for, and so then the questions start to change of, now that I have the flexibility of being able to be in control of my future and what I'm going to create, how do we take that to the next level? And then how do we take that to the next level where maybe I'm starting to desire some freedom because I'm really good at what I'm doing and my business is going well. And now we're talking about leverage and diversification and what that looks like. So Tom, I got a little ahead of us in the story because you're 26 years old and your first couple of years in real estate, and hopefully you don't go quit today. No, I know you won't, because that's not who you are, and you're committed to being a professional at the highest level. Now you get into real estate, you get your real estate license, and there's one kind of interesting factor about your specific real estate business as it related to proximity of where you live versus where you work. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I live 100 miles away from where I do business. I prefer to live out in the boonies, and that's where I live. I live halfway between Minneapolis and Duluth for anybody who is interested. So I've got an hour and a half drive in the morning, an hour and a half in the evening. And that was really killing my efficiency and my productivity. So I was looking for something more down the lines of making myself more efficient and leveraging my time to become more profitable rather than having to drive an hour and a half to go take a class in the middle of the day, which would basically shoot my whole day in the foot.
Yeah. So let's talk about your real estate business though, because I know that you're supporting yourself and this is what you do exclusively. So you come into the business like I always say there's a price to pay for everything. There's an investment to make. Sometimes we invest with our time. Sometimes we invest with our money, right? Sometimes it's a combination of both. We vote with our time and our money too, by the way. Where your time goes is a vote for what's important to you. Where your money goes is a vote for what you value. So you obviously were newer in the business. You had a value on the life that you want to live, which sounds like it's a little more remote, yet you've also got a commitment as an entrepreneur and a realtor to become the best realtor that you can be. So you've got now this 3-hour this 3-hour commute around your work and your business. Uh, Talk about the business that you did in the initial, 12, 18 months, your first year in the business.
Yeah, so I'm actually coming up on my first year in the business. The end of the month will be my first actual year in the business, and so far I've done 19 deals, 2 of which were my own purchases, and one of them was a sale of one of my investment properties. Uh, Basically, when I started, I called everybody I knew. I went through Facebook. I was sending so many messages on Facebook that Facebook actually shut me down. They thought I was a spammer, so I had a certain amount I could send each day. I was not a secret agent. Everybody knew that I got licensed as soon as I was licensed. I was calling people relentlessly. I was throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what would stick, and then I just kept throwing more spaghetti at the wall. And that my first summer in real estate, I was doing 12, 14-hour days back to back, showing clients homes, meeting with people, just chasing it down, knocking on doors. I just did not quit because I knew that this was what I needed to do to grow and get my business started. Otherwise, it wasn't going to happen.
And again, so many lessons that we can learn. So if you are in real estate right now and you look up and you're like, well, I'm not really doing the amount of business that I want to be doing right now. I call it mysteries of the mind. There's not too many mysteries of the mind. There's probably a very good reason as to why you're not doing the amount of business that you want to be doing right now, if you're not, or if there's opportunities to grow it. And Tom, I mean, your first year, which when someone's new, how often do we think, oh, well, I need to know more before I go out and do this? Or I am not confident because I need to know more before I go and take action. Or well, what if I do it and it doesn't work, and then I don't like the way that felt, so I'm gonna sit around and not do it for a while until I muster up the internal motivation to go do it again and hope that something different happens. That is definitely a perspective and a mindset that that can happen, and it's one that is not going to be a mindset that's going to create an outcome or a result called doing 19 transactions in a year in your first year in the business as a new agent. And so there's another layer of your story that I think is such a valuable lesson for all the realtors that are on this call. And that is that so often we want to, and I think social media really kind of has changed the way that we think because we have an audience. And so we think, oh, well, if I just post stuff on social media, people see my stuff, and you hope that you have mind share, or you wait for people to contact you and call you because you may be active in areas of social media where you feel like you have an audience. And yet I think there's something really valuable to learn from your story, because you took that social media audience and you proactively went to them to make sure they knew who you are and what you are doing. And then whether they choose to work with you or not, they do, however you do or don't. However, you are proactive about creating in your business. Now, you described it as throwing spaghetti up against the wall and seeing what sticks. However, I think 19 transactions is some pretty amazing stuck spaghetti. Would you agree?
I would
Is there
agree.
anyone on the call that would say that 19 transactions in a year and even in your first year sucks? No. And some people that have been in the business a lot longer would be tickled pink to be doing 19 transactions in a year. And you can, right? There's a saying that if one can, anyone can. That is the greatest news ever. I want you to write that down. If one can, anyone can, and so therefore I can. If one can do it, I can do it. If one can do it, anyone can do it, therefore I can do it. The question becomes, are you willing? And your willingness will determine the outcome. Tom, based on results, you're a very willing guy. Now, here is another layer to your story. I know this Free Friday coaching call is company agnostic, and so we're gonna do that out of respect to what Rick has created here. However, there's a great lesson that can be learned that I want to make sure we do not miss. And that is that you said one important thing about your business, and that was that we know you're traveling 3 hours, right? That's your commute time before doing any business for the day. And so, as an entrepreneur, you're looking at being more efficient, being more effective. How do you take your business to the next level? We're all limited by the same 24 hours in the day. That's the finite amount of time that we get to use. And so, of course, if we're looking to grow and expand, how do we expand the efficiency of what's happening for us and with us during that time in our business? Now, you ran across a Facebook post that was what I call what I call that, I wouldn't say on a public Zoom. So let me think of another way to call it right now. Um, Degrading negative conversation. You ran across the degrading negative conversation that somebody was having in a public forum on Facebook um, about a specific real estate company, and that caught your attention. I'm going to fast forward and say you're now with that real estate company. However, what I want to highlight about your story is your mindset on when you saw that information. So you run across this Facebook post, you see this negative chatter going on, and what happened for you?
Well, so I saw it and I looked at what they were complaining about and the negative comments, the details that they were about. And I was curious because the things that they were complaining about were better than what I had previously. So I made the comment, what's the problem here? Does anyone want to enlighten me? And my friend Andrew reached out to me and he explained to me and he showed me the differences from what everyone was complaining about versus what the reality was. And just from seeing that, I was like, well, it's better than what I have. It's going to increase my efficiency. It's going to speed me up. It's going to produce me more income in the long run. So why not? The curiosity mindset, not just being stuck. I'm happy. I was happy where I was, but being open to seeing different models and different ways to do business. Had I not seen that, I'd still be where I was without the opportunities that I have now.
So there's a couple of key things I want to point out. I'm guessing everyone that's on this call is in social media. And how often do we run across people posting things, real estate or not real estate, that might be of a negative slant? There's two things that can happen in that. Number one, we get into curiosity. Number two, we get into judgment. So when presented with seemingly negative information, number one, we can get into curiosity. Number two, we can get into judgment. And there is a lesson about being in curiosity and staying in curiosity that is really powerful if you're an entrepreneur that wants to continue to grow. When you're in judgment, it's a mindset that you already know, that you know better. There's some righteousness that goes with it because you're right. Versus being in curiosity is like, what is there that I don't know that I don't know? And not how do I jump on a negative bandwagon? However, how do I become more educated so that I can become more efficient and effective myself? How do I become better as a result of what's in front of me? And a lot of people will just see negative stuff and get sucked right in it and jump on the bandwagon, or they'll block those kind of posts from their Facebook feed so they don't see them at all and move on. And that is, that's another perspective, obviously, because what goes into our mind impacts our attitude and our energy. However, I always say don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because staying in curiosity as an entrepreneur is a key element to being able to grow and take yourself and your business to the next level, because it is admitting that you don't know everything. It's being willing to ask the question, what is there that I don't know that if I did might have an incredible impact on my business and my future? And Tom, I want to applaud you for that mindset. Obviously, you're now with that company and you're receiving the benefits of it. And so congratulations for you and the support that that's given you in moving and advancing your career to the next place. And I want to thank you for being willing to make a contribution of your time and energy today. You're a client of mine, and I appreciate the work that we're doing together and the opportunity to do that together to help you get to where you want to go faster and pick up some skill sets that are going to support you in doing that. And you being willing to turn around and contribute what you've learned and what you've experienced for the benefit of other people that are different places along their journey while you're on vacation is something that shows servant leadership and somebody who's committed to making a contribution. And so I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Like you said, it's all about flexibility, not freedom, because this is the life we live.
That is true indeed. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to finish this call off with a fun video. It's only about 1.5 minutes long. However, there's some setup that goes with the video because I want to prepare you for what you're about to see, because there is some lessons and some key takeaways that you will be able to discern if you're watching for them and looking for them. And I always love those lessons and takeaways, because what it means is that as you make application, or if you're willing to take them and make application in your business and in your life, you can continue the growth path that you're on and the growth trajectory that you're on. And sometimes it's the smallest things that make the biggest difference. There is, I'll never forget the analogy that I heard or was introduced to around what it takes if you're into horse racing, which I'm not, what it takes to win the race is sometimes just as much as literally the nose of a horse. And that difference between winning or not is not necessarily, it might not be a huge change or adjustment in what you're doing. It could be something that is that's pretty minor. So for the purposes of what we're going to see now on this video, I want you to look at the coaching, because there's some coaching that's happening. You're going to see a 3-year-old. This 3-year-old happens to be my godson. He is one of 4 quadruplet children in the family. He has his name's Hemi. He has a brother named Quinn. He has a brother named Jagger, and he has a sister named Sunny Sue. And their parents are very good friends of ours. Charlie is the person who is the voice that you're going to hear in the background. Charlie's the dad, and Charlie's a former professional wakeboarder. He pioneered the sport of wakeboarding around the world. And then subsequently, I know Rick talks about me being in direct sales network marketing. Charlie was my mentor and coach throughout my 14-year journey in that business. And I have a ton of respect for him. He's a brother from another mother, and we have an extended family as a result. He's an incredible coach, not just because he is a former professional athlete. However, in working with and building teams of like literally thousands and thousands of people in 30 plus countries around the world, he understands human beings, whether they've got a 3-year-old brain, which a lot of us operate off of, or are different places on the chronological chart. And so there's some really key lessons to pick up. And we're going to ask for some shares on the back end of this video around what you see him demonstrating in the coaching and in the experience, the lessons, and then how those can relate to your business and taking your business to the next level, yourself to the next level. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to watch Hemi for a hot minute. And here we go.
Well done, Hemi.
Let me get it in a different format. Give me 1 second. All right. Can someone come off mute and let me know if you can see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Well done, Hemi. Just keep looking where you want to go. Keep looking where you want to go. Keep looking where you want to go. Look where you want to go. Wow, nice job, Hemi. Great recovery, buddy. Push out, push out, push your legs out. Push your legs out. Well done. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Wow, look how far you skied, Hemi. What do you think? You like it? Yeah, you're doing so amazing. Wow.
All right, so what are some key things that you noticed in that video?
Keep looking where you want to go.
Look where you want to go. Absolutely. Like if you're going into a listing appointment, it is, I hope I get this listing, or I wonder if the agent that's coming after me is going to do a better presentation, or am I going to be the last? Like, no, I'm going into this listing appointment. I'm coming out with the listing, period. Look where you want to go. Okay, great. What else?
Also, the moment he fell was the moment that he got the happiest for him and was helping him get back up.
Love that. So when you crash and burn in your business, in your day, which you're going to, instead of why didn't you do this and why didn't you do that and you could have done that and you wouldn't have fallen, it is a celebration of how freaking far you have actually come. Good for you. Great recovery. And look where you've gotten. Absolutely. So as he's skiing down the hill, someone came in front of him, right? And as entrepreneurs, there are a myriad of distractions. As real estate agents, there's a ton of distractions. And when they come right in front of you, like, oh, we stop looking where we want to go and we get like so wrapped up in whatever this distraction is. Here's what I want to say. All distractions are created equal. All distractions are created equal. I don't care if it's a thumbnail that you're having an issue with, or if you broke your big toe, or if your leg's broken, or if a tree fell on your house. All distractions are equal in that if you allow them to take you off course of where you're committed to going in your business, they have derailed you. And, you know, we may look at other people's distractions and go, well, that's not a big deal, sort it out. And then we look at our own and like, oh, I just, you know, I've got to go with this distraction right now. And so, you know, this is just, they become our reasons, excuses, and justifications, the things that we allow stop us. Okay, what else? What was one other learning that you got from the video?
It's okay to have a coach. You don't necessarily need to try to do it on your own.
Absolutely. The value of a coach cannot emphasize enough the value of having a coach. Why? Because they have a different perspective. A coach is able to see something that a player is not able to see. If you're on the field, you're on the field. So you have the perspective of being on the field. A coach has the perspective of the field and you, which is a different perspective. And a lot of times when we're looking for growth or taking things to the next level, it's about getting a different perspective. It's about being able to look at things in a different way. It's about being able to maybe recontextualize something that's stopping you and turn it into something that's going to empower you and to move you. All right, there's another thing in this video. No one said it yet. I'm going to give an opportunity for one more person to share something that has not been shared yet.
Did somebody already say it's okay to fail? That happens.
It is okay to fail. Yeah, nobody said that yet. It is definitely okay to fail, because the fail is the pause, right? Mm-hmm. So Hemi wipes out on the hill and it's the pause. And what does he get to do? He gets to look at how far he's come. He gets to reassess what was working, figure out, okay, where was our breakdown, and then get up and go again with that new knowledge. So failure is so important because it creates a pause. Now, don't let that pause last more than 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah, get out of it.
I'm not going to make lead generation calls for a month because of XYZ. No. What just happened on the call that went sideways? And you learn it, you take the pause and you get right in there and you go again so that you accelerate your learning and you build that muscle and develop it stronger. Okay, there's still one more. I love the creativity. There's
Casey,
one
I
more.
don't know. I don't know if
Yeah.
this is what you're looking for, but I noticed that he asked his son if he was having a good time, if he was enjoying it, which may be a small thing, but checking in to make sure that his son's actually enjoying this rather than I hate this is torture and I want to get off the hill. Maybe that's not what you're looking for, but to me that was significant because he was checking in with his son, making sure he was enjoying the process.
That is brilliant, Tom. I love it. So here's the question. I want you to write this down. What is the experience I want to have as you fill in the blank? We know that lead generation is the thing that all of us don't like doing. Well, maybe there's some people that love it. However, statistically, most realtors do not like picking up the phone to do lead generation. If they did, they'd have more business. We all know that. That's the logical conversation. So the question then becomes, what's the experience I want to create for myself as I do the thing that's going to get me what I want? It's impossible to do real estate or take your real estate sales to the next level without having a lead generation engine that's running that. So how do I create an experience around that that's going to be fun? How do I create an experience around lead generation that's going to have it be something that I want to do? I have a girlfriend, she works in the Napa Valley. Her name's Tracy War. And her tagline is Napa Tracy style. She gets all of her business from being out in front of people. Literally, she goes to events, she goes to parties, she talks to people. That's where she gets all of her business from, because she is amazing when she's in social settings. She's an incredible networker and connector of people. She throws events at her house. She has dinners at her house. And so she's made her lead generation fun. Why? So that she wants to do it. And she is one of the top producing agents in the Napa Valley. She's amazing. So much to learn from that. So what's the experience that I want to have as I boom, fill in the blank, make the blank something that's an important thing for you to do in your business so that you have business. Great learning from the video. I'm going to give you the last thing just for time's sake, because we're going to wrap it up. Did you see how that kid was suited up? He had on the skis, he had on the boots, he had on his whole outfit, he had on the goggles, he had on the hat, he had on the harness on the back. That kid was prepared. His coach did not let him on the field, on that slope, without preparation. So what are you doing to prepare yourself every day, and mostly your mind? What are you doing to prepare your mind every day before you go out into the world called creating in your business? Are you going to prepare your mind by answering all of the breakdowns and putting out all the fires that are happening first thing in the morning? Or are you going to take a moment to prepare your mind and your heart and your attitude and your spirit for something that's going to enliven and empower you, knowing there's going to be fires you got to put out during the day, knowing there's going to be things that are going to happen that you have no idea that are going to happen, that are on their way, that you're going to work right on through. You're going to be solution oriented like Tom was in the story, as we heard his story, and constantly looking for what that solution is going to be. So what kind of mental bandwidth does it take? What kind of physical bandwidth does it take? The physical energy, the mental energy to do a great business, to take your business to the next level. And that comes with preparation. So what is your preparation plan? And is it something that you do consistently, or is it something that you do haphazardly? Gotta fill the tank, right? So many of us, it's like, oh, the real estate market's cranking right now. I'm so busy. I don't have time to do that. I've got people that want appointments. I've got to get to this. I've got to get to that. Great. That can happen for a day or two. However, do that over weeks and months, and you become less efficient. You become less effective. You become more tired, and you actually will negatively impact your overall performance versus taking care of the most important thing there is to take care of, which is you and how you prepare your mind, your body, and your soul to go out and be great at what you do. So as we bring a close to today's call, again, Tom, thank you for being with us and all the lessons we were able to glean out of your stories. Write down one thing, and actually let's do this. We'll take 3 people, key learnings that you got from the call today that you're going to take right out into your business and make adjustments or tweaks with today. We'll take 3 quick shares. Key learnings.
Being more on purpose of being prepared every day, for what I'm going to accomplish.
Love that preparation. Jim's is being social and personal, being in front of people for his lead generation. Love that. Making an experience you want to have. Great. Who else?
Be prepared, have that mindset, and always lead generate. Don't be stagnant.
Love it. Consistency. Okay, well, thank you all for your time this morning. Rick will be back live and in person with you next week. It was a pleasure being with you. I recognize a lot of the names that have popped up, even if I'm seeing faces for the first time, because with this last year of both of us working from home, I hear him on his Zooms. We joke and say Rick's voice is surround sound. You can hear him no matter where he's at. So it's nice to see some faces and names that I recognize, even if we haven't had the opportunity to connect, and now we have. So everyone make it a great Friday, and Rick will be back with you next week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.